actually, it's not quite a training. It's going to be more of an interactive session because I want to take you to all the 4 pillars of opportunities of JCI. I want you to really see my experience, which I think is a very rich one in JCI. I was very lucky to become a JCI member, but also very lucky to get all the opportunities that I did get through JCI. So I want you to experience all that. But also I want you to have questions. I want you to interrupt me. So I want to be an exchange and a free discussion and conversation, okay? And at any point, if you have your experience that you think would enrich the story, you are free to raise your hand and I will give you the floor to share more, okay? Perfect. I'm just going to share my screen now. And my first question for you would be, and I just want to see some raised hands if you can. If you know what a JCI Vice President is, and if you heard of the JCI Board of Directors. No raised hands? Okay, so I'm just going to explain shortly who I am. So at international level, at global level, we have, of course, the world president. And the world president has 4 executive vice presidents, one for each area. We have 4 areas in JCI. You are part of Asia and Pacific. I am part of the Europe area, so area D. And we also have, of course, Africa and America. And for each of these areas, we have 4 to 5 vice presidents. And this year, I am luckily one of the vice presidents assigned to one of the areas. I am assigned to Europe. As a JCI World Vice President, International Vice President, you always get assigned to you some countries from the area that you represent, right? So as a Vice President, you are responsible to support those countries to develop themselves, and of course, like to see how you can most help them, but also to visit them and to try to bring your contribution, your experience, your know-how, and to serve those countries. Okay, so this is me. I've been in JCI for 8 years now. I've been in every type of role that there can be, from local chapter to national to European Development Councilor, the equivalent of your ASPDC, and of course, like now, the international position. I've also been a national president. I've been in the national board for several years in different positions and different roles. I'm also a trainer in JCI and so on. And well, like I said, I would like to tell you a story, but I hope you won't fall asleep, even though it's very, very late. But I want to tell you the story of my JCI experience and how it links to the 4 areas of opportunities. Because in JCI, as you know, we have 4 areas of opportunities. We have the personal development, we have the community impact, the business opportunities, and also the international collaboration, right? And I would also like to ask you guys, what's the reason why you joined JCI? Because in JCI, usually we saw that members join usually for one of these 4 reasons. So if you go back and think of the moment that you joined the organization, can you tell me which of the 4 was kind of the reason that you actually joined? And I'll give you a few moments. But you are quite fast, even though it's late. Awesome. Perfect. Just a few more, 5 more people. Let's see. 4, 3. Last 3 people. Okay. And stop. Okay. So I'm going to share the results with you. And first place, it's personal development. Then it's business. And last place is community impact, because no one chose international network. Okay, I'm going to have actually a more deeper talk about international network and how you can benefit from it. But just for you to know, all of these four areas of opportunities are actually linked between themselves. So once you, even if you joined for one area of opportunity, it's quite, they're quite linked between them. But actually, to be very, very honest with you, so when I joined JCI, I joined it also because of personal development. So basically, like the majority of you, I joined for the same reason. And like the majority of you, and when I joined JCI, I had no idea that it was a global organization. And actually, in my first year as a member, I didn't really care that it was an international organization, to be very honest. I was so focused on the community projects that I didn't understand the importance of being an international organization. And I just want to make you a better picture for you of who I was when I joined JCI, because that person was a very, very different person than the person who stands here and talks to you on Zoom today, right? So these are some pictures from the first JCI event that I ever joined. And it was a conference. It was called I Love My Health. And back then, I was a very, very shy person, in the sense that I went to this event because most of my friends were moving abroad. So they were going for studies or work. And I was kind of left alone in my city because I was working for my family business. And of course, like, I had to stay there because of it. So I said, okay, I'll try to go to this kind of event, maybe to meet some people, or at least to get out of the house. And I went to this event because the topic was really interesting. I never heard of JCI before. I was keep receiving from a friend invitations to their Facebook events. So they were promoting the events on Facebook. I got an invitation. I said, I'll go. And I went to this event, but I was so anxious because I didn't know one single person. And I was just, you will see me there in the crowd, but actually I still remember, because like being so anxious, at some point I sat down and there were two free spaces next to me, right? I sat down in a place where there were no people because I was also really shy. So I didn't want to go sit next to somebody. And somebody came and asked me if the place next to me is free. And because I was so anxious, like, my reply was well, I'm not sitting on it. I was, so defensive in the moment that somebody came, to approach me. And afterwards, I was just thinking, oh my God, why did you have to say that? Couldn't you just say, yes, it's free? Or, like that, because I was so anxious about, being there all alone, not knowing anyone, my reactions were very defensive. And this was kind of like the person I was back then, the first time when I met JCI. But of course, like, from there to now, I became a very different person because of all the experience. And it's not just, somebody asked me at ASPAC, actually, at the Asian and Pacific Conference, one of the local presidents from Indonesia came to me and asked me, like, I know that you were a very shy person when you first started in JCI. So how did what was the moment that you shifted and you became this, networking, kind of social person? My husband called me a social butterfly, because like I just go around and talk with people. So where was the shift for you? And I said, well, there was no shift, actually, because I do remember every, like, part of being anxious, of talking in public. I still, but sometimes when I go on the stage and I have a mic in my hand, it still trembles. So, like, the feeling is still there. I'm still the same person, but my skill of networking, my skills of public speaking, my skills of training and interacting with people, also my skills of actually being curious of the person in front of me and going past my fear of interacting, past my anxiousness, that also was developed through JCI. And it was developed not on one point, through one training or to one participation in a session or this kind of call. It was a sum up of all kinds of experiences. And here you have just a few pictures in which JCI put me up front, not only to interact with people, but to speak in front of them. So I was in the debating competition at the World Congress in Tallinn in 2019. I became a trainer in 2017. I was put, of course, last year, because I was a candidate for vice president, I had to pitch myself in front of the General Assembly. So that was also really exciting, but also really scary, right? I had to represent, as local president, I had to represent my local chapter to different conferences, speaking about, because I was a woman leader back then, I was speaking about women leadership, but also about what JCI does, about what community impact we have, and about, of course, like what JCI achieves worldwide. But also it taught me how to manage and how to care about people more. Again, how to go beyond my fear and to be courageous enough to actually think more about the people around me than to think about my fear. So that is something that the JCI also taught me during the years. And again, it's not something that you get to know after one session, after one keynote speaker, after one conference. It's something that JCI builds in you over time and again. And now I have one more question for you. And that would be, what kind of skill did JCI develop in you? And I would like you to just write it in the chat to make it a bit more interactive for you. So just write in the chat, what kind of skills did JCI develop for you? Let's see, who's fastest? Public speaking from Praktik. Okay. What else? Public speaking, a lot of public speaking, yeah. Interpersonal skills, leadership development, be a good leader, and time management. Perfect. Yeah, time management is quite challenging, huh? And JCI teaches us a lot how to manage it, because you need to do a lot of stuff in your free time, right? Leadership, socialize. Perfect. Fellowship. Amazing. International network. Okay, I'll tell you more about what JCI developed in me, because like I said, every 4 area of opportunities are linked, and you'll see that this kind of personal development, it doesn't only give you the opportunity of personal development, it also opens up new opportunities for you. So for me, like I said at the beginning of my JCI journey, when I joined, I was really not interested in what the international part was all about. And actually, to be very honest to you, my local chapter was not really very international. I was actually the first person from my local chapter to go to an international event when I was in my second JCI year. So at the beginning of my year, I was, of course, very focused on my local organization and on our local projects. And I'm smiling because every time somebody asks me, and I use this question in all my trainings, what is a moment of your JCI journey that you were proud to be a JCI member? And for me, the answer to this question was actually by the end of my first year in JCI. That's the most proudest moment I ever had in my journey. In my first year in JCI, I was a project manager of this lovely project that you see a big picture of. And it was a project that we tried to do different activities with children, abandoned children from foster care homes, so from the governmental system, and to try to socially include them in society when they were, of course, of age to get out of the system. And actually, this house that you see in the picture with children, They were children, they were a minority in Romania, they were a Hungarian minority. And when we got to them to start the project with them, they were not speaking Romanian. So communications barrier were quite difficult for us in communicating with children. But we managed because they had some caregivers, the caregivers speak Romanians, and like the workshops were mainly like more experiential. So it was okay. The bigger children spoke Romanian, so it was more of a thing with the younger children, and we didn't really focus on that. What we wanted to do is actually to try to teach them a meaningful thing, like how to cook, how to manage money, and we try to bring people who spoke Hungarian, so we don't have this kind of barrier. But during the year, because the children got attached more and more to my team, they tried to learn by themselves Romanian. So at the end of the year, they made a huge surprise for us. They made a Christmas party for us, organized for my team. And they invited us, of course, like to have kind of a big thank you for all the activity that we did during the year. And in that party, they actually sang Romanian carols. So they sang Romanian songs. They taught themselves Romanian so they can actually impress us and they can actually communicate with us. And that was actually like my proudest moment, because I never would have expected, for them to do that kind of effort after 1 year in which we did all sorts of activities with them. So that's kind of like, for me, it was the point when I saw what JCI is capable of in my local community, in my local project. But of course, since there, I've done dozens of projects, and I always say that I'm a project lover. So at every level, any year in JCI, every role that I have had, even local president, even national president, I always was also a project manager on something. So I always had a project baby. And I had a business project in my first year of JCI. So when I joined JCI, I was project manager on 3 different projects. This was the charity one. I had a business project, and I had one cultural. And afterwards, I started a democracy project that was done with the European Parliament in collaboration. I also managed nationally the TOIP program. I did a National Leadership Academy for my organization. And this year, for example, I'm a chairperson for the Creative Young Entrepreneurs here in Europe. So every year I do try to still have that small impact that I can through JCI projects. And of course, these are just a few examples that I went through as an experience, but all of them were very enlightened in the sense that every new project came with a different challenge. At local level, the challenge was always to keep the team motivated, right? To keep them engaged, to be a good leader, like you said, to try to be energizing your team and so on. But then you go at national level, and at national level, your team is spread out on the entire country. And it becomes more challenging to keep them engaged because they also have their local chapter that they need to be active in, right? So it's different challenges as a leader as well. And then, of course, you go even further, you go internationally, and then you need you need to find the team members all over your area or all over the world to help you actually implement your idea. So there are different challenges at every level, and there are different things that you can learn from every experience. For me, for example, TOIP was a really amazing experience because it was the first time I managed a remote team. So my entire team was spread all over the country. I had one person from each local chapter, and I had to manage them remotely. So we never actually met for a meeting face to face. We, of course, we knew each other from different national events. We met in national events, but the entire project was between those national events. So all the collaboration was online, which was very challenging for me in 2018. Okay, and now for the next area of opportunity, I'll just want to take you to the business area. And here I have also a very nice story. Of course, I have different parts because like I've been in JCI for a really long time, but I just want to tell you two parts of it. So when COVID struck, I was very inspired to create my own business quite when COVID struck. So I created my own company, and it was a coaching and training company. It was a business coaching and training. Of course, these two passions of coaching and business, I discovered them, coaching and training, I discovered them in JCI because in my original profession, I'm an chartered accountant. I was a chartered accountant immediately after I finished university. I got my diploma. My family business was in accounting. So like that's my main profession. But after joining JCI and becoming a trainer, giving out trainings, understanding the mentoring process, what a coaching process is, I got my certification and I said, okay, I really like doing this. I'm going to start my own business. So I started my own business, and then COVID struck. And to be very honest with you, my business was not affected of COVID at all. And it was the perfect moment to start my business, but not because of me choosing the moment, but because I had the JCI network. I had a lot of contacts the year before I was local president. So I had a lot of contacts of local business owners, local businesses, which of course were facing a lot of challenges back then because of COVID. And of course, the owners didn't know how to manage their people properly. So I got a lot of coaching clients from the contacts that I got in JCI. But more than this, of course, all the JCI members knew that I started a new business in coaching and training. And one of the members was working for a very big company who were just launching a coaching platform. And basically what she did, she registered me as a coach. We had some interviews, they approved me, and I got all my corporate clients through that contract. So the JCI network actually gave me my clients, but also like all my contracts with big companies. And it was nationally. So the platform that I worked with on the corporate contract, it was not only in my city. So I was not working only with small businesses anymore. I was working with national big companies, like National Bank, supply chains, fashion industry. So they were very, very, very diverse. And this is actually all thanks to JCI, and it's not thanks to the international network, because I at that point I was not so developed in the international network to get clients from it. But I did do it after a year after I created my business. I did get international clients from Bulgaria, mostly from Europe. But then I want to come now to the present. Now at the present, also thanks to JCI, I am working for the European Parliament, which is not a business, it's a public institution, right? A European institution. But there are also a lot of opportunities that JCI gives me in my career. And one of those opportunities, if you see the picture on the right on the screen, that's me, and the lady sitting next to me is the president of the European Parliament. So it's the big boss, as I like to call her. The thing is, so in the European Parliament, we have around 10,000 employees. How many of those employees do you think have a selfie with the president of the European Parliament? Yeah, exactly. And I have it here in my office just for you to know, like everyone to see it. But how did I get it? Actually, last year, at the World Congress, we couldn't go from Europe to the World Congress. So JCI Malta said, okay, we cannot go, but let's at least meet all together. So we went in Malta, and that's where the European president is from. And JCI Malta invited her for a conference, and that's where I met her. And I told her I'm working for the European Parliament, and then we took a selfie. And she actually posted it on her social media afterwards. So can you imagine, like, all my colleagues seeing that and coming then afterwards for me, just the visibility that JCI gave me in my career, in my work space. And not only that, but I'm also like, I think maybe you know, if not, I'm also part of the board of directors of one of the unions here in the European Parliament. And since I have, of course, a lot of network in JCI, so I have a lot of trainers, speakers, international professionals, a lot of people who have a lot of knowledge on different topics. I started bringing them actually in my work space through the union. So we have different sessions that I organize with people that I know through JCI that again give me a lot of visibility. And actually I am in elections right now to be part of the staff committee, which is a very important committee in the parliament. So fingers crossed for me for next week to be elected, right? But just for you to see how many opportunities there are out there just because of the network, just because you are in JCI. And the important things is to actually identify them and know how to use it. And I call people that know how to use this kind of things resource people, because even if like they don't tap on that resource immediately, they know it's there. And sometimes they know to connect you with that resource, even though it doesn't help them. And that's very important to have this kind of people around you. And I think JCI is quite full of this kind of people. I didn't get any questions from you yet, but I hope you do have some. Okay, and I'm going just to the next part, which is actually the I think the most important, but also like the thing that gets last to us, right? So after we get into skill development, after we get into community impact, maybe a bit of business, then we get to the international part. And it's quite a shame because this is actually proven to be the one, how to say, element X that gets our members to be engaged in JCI for a very long term. So I don't know if you know, but there is a statistic done by headquarters, which says that if you join JCI and you don't take part to any international initiative, your lifespan as a member is around 3 years. So you can stay up to 3 years, but usually nobody stays more than that. But if you join an international opportunity, so if you go to a conference or if you go to academy or training, international training or session, or you just visit another JCI organization in another country, your lifespan in JCI goes to 7 years. So it not only doubles, it goes like 110% over. So that is really impressive. And I think one thing that I really appreciate, because now I'm living in Luxembourg, here in JCI Luxembourg, what they do in the first 3 months when you become a member, you have a checklist of things to do. And one thing on that checklist is to participate in an international event. They don't really care if it's an academy, if it's a national convention, if it's just a regional convention in some other country, or if you just go to visit and meet with some people from another organization. But it's very important for them to actually, that you in the first 3 months of your experience, you actually get to meet people from another country that are in JCI. Okay, and yeah, so in international opportunities, we can also have impact. And this is one thing where I want to highlight actually what we've done internationally. So when COVID struck in 2020, the 2019 local presidents, we had our own kind of support group for COVID. And we decided to have actually this kind of material in which we send out the message that you just need to stay strong. We know it's hard, but we're all in this together, even though we're spread all around the world, even though we cannot see each other, even though like we Zoom a lot, like you just need to keep strong. And one of our project in 2020 was this project in which we kind of try to inspire people to hang in there and keep going. But last year, as national president of Romania, geographically, just for you to know, Romania is a neighbor country with Ukraine. I don't know if you know, but Ukraine now is in a war zone. There is a conflict between Ukraine and Russia. And this conflict started last year in February when I was national president. And because we are neighboring countries, we had a huge flow of refugees. And it started immediately, like the day the war started, people I think were fleeing already 2 days before that, but until they got to the border, it took a while, right? And the thing is, in that point, I saw for the first time the power of the international network. And I don't mean now the power of conferences or the vibe that you get, the experience you get at, but actually having a need and having people around the world trying to help you to cover that need. And you can see here on the right, like all the organization or the JCI organization, and you will see there also, I don't know if it's visible, but we also had JCI Japan, JCI Hong Kong there. We also had a lot of support from different countries. But actually, like from day one, when the war started, just for you to know, Romanian government is not the best. So when the huge influx of refugees came in, the government was not prepared. So they couldn't do absolutely nothing to aid these people or to host them. They didn't send up tents. They didn't have anything prepared for that. So basically at the border, there were only associations and NGOs. And between those NGOs, we were also there because 4 of our local chapter were at the border of with Ukraine or Moldova, which Moldova was a transit country for refugees. And from the first day, JCI Netherlands sent actually their first big truck of supplies for us to hand over to the refugees. And then, of course, in the next days, more trucks came, more products came, but also we had a lot of support in money. So we could actually arrange transport for refugees. We had buses coming from Germany to take refugees and to take them to Western Europe. So this kind of collaboration between countries in this kind of crisis situation, for me, showed exactly how powerful JCI can be internationally if we just are quite connected to each other and have a fluid communication. But this was also thanks to, of course, my entire JCI Romania team, because they were very active. And actually, we had quite a few members that are after this crisis were a bit burnt out by all the effort that they did. There was a lot of people engaged and a lot of national organizations engaged. Okay, and third part of international collaboration are, of course, the twinings. Who knows what's a twinning? I want to hear someone speak.
No idea. Maybe like collaboration between 2 people.
Okay. Do we have other opinions? Let's see.
Twinning between 2 local chapters.
Yeah, there is twinning between local chapters. There is also twinning between national organization. Okay. Anything else? Okay, so basically you can have collaboration without a twinning, just for you to know. So if you go to the Ukrainian projects that we did, which was called JCI Borderless back then, we didn't have any twinning. Okay, it was too much an emergency to have actually anything signed. So everything went like really fast. But if you have a collaboration, a really good collaboration between some organizations, and it can be two or it can be more. If there are more organizations, we call it a multi-twinning, okay? And it's basically a brotherhood of organization. And basically what you need to do, there's no framework, or there is a guideline if you go on JCI library, but like you can do whatever you want with that kind of collaboration. You can collaborate, I don't know, for know-how exchange, for you to exchange between yourself. You can collaborate on cultural exchange. You can collaborate if you want to connect your local government to the local government from another country. So the limits of that collaboration, it's just up to you, right? So what I did when I was local president in my organization, I really wanted my local organization to be more international. Because like I said, I was the first one to actually go to an international event from my local chapter, and I was quite new to the organization when I did it. So when I became local president, I said, oh, this is good, I'm going to make a twinning now. And we signed a twinning with one of the chapters of JCI Malta, because they had a chapter specialized in debating. So they have had a debating chapter. And my local organization, they wanted to start a debating project, but they didn't know how. So I said, okay, we'll make a twinning with the debating chapter, and they're going to show you how to make debating projects. We're going to exchange. It's going to be marvelous. And actually the collaboration between us and Malta, it evolved even more in the sense that after we went to visit them, after we exchanged on debating, we did the debating project, then we didn't do it anymore because the debating team, the members that love debating moved to another country. So there was no one to actually do the project again after a few years. But the collaboration with Malta remained even though we didn't have the debating program anymore. And what we do is, of course, now I'm their vice president. I am assigned to JCI Malta as a vice president. So I am basically supporting them even now. But what they do is every year they do an Erasmus project. So they do a cross-country project. And every year they invite my local chapter to participate in it. So we have usually 5 members, and usually we extended the invitation to JCI Romania, other chapters, but we have 5 JCI members that always every year go to Malta to participate in the Leadership Academy, which is done by them through the Erasmus. And it's free of charge, so it's 5 free places, all transport, hosting, everything included. You don't need to pay for everything. And that's kind of the collaboration that we still have going even after 5 years now. So it's quite interesting. But of course, like you can have this kind of collaboration on different topics and different objectives. But it's very important to set the objective of the collaboration. These are kind of like some international things that really have impact. But of course, there is the international experience. And the international experience are international events that you can attend. And this year, of course, like I'm also part of the organizing team because I'm the vice president. I'm also on the other side, but I did attend a lot of area conferences in Europe before. I also organized a president's meeting 2 times because like I said, I was in the European Development Council before, but this year as a vice president. So I was on both sides as a participant, but also on the organizing team of different international events. And this year, it was my first time actually attending ASPAC. And that's where we met with your local president, Vinesh. So it was, for me, it was a very unique experience. But I need to make a full disclosure with you that as a vice president, you don't get the same experience as a simple member. in the sense that you have also some duties. So you have some special meetings that you need to do, you're in some special sessions, and your schedule is a bit kind of strict. So you don't really get to choose what session you can go and you cannot go to. And that's, I think that's why next year I'm trying to go again to the ASPAC so I can actually have the full experience. But these are just a few pictures from my experience in the ASPAC. And I think what's really interesting, what was interesting for me is that your area conference, so the Asia and Pacific Area Conference, it's quite very different from the European conference that we have. And we were just talking about it the other day, because like, if you go to a World Congress, so, and I'm going to talk about it a bit, but if you go to a World Congress where actually you have the members from all 4 areas, you will have the Europeans that wear JCI t-shirts. Like in our conferences, all people are in JCI t-shirts. Then you have the Asia and Pacific conference where everything is business. And you'll see a lot of people wearing suits and, you know, elegant clothes and so on. And then you see the Americans who are in flip-flops and shirts, you know, and like really casual. And then you see, of course, Africa, who are in their traditional clothes, like the long things and so on. So it's so diverse. And I think this is so interesting. But of course, like, it's very nice to see and to actually, you know, take in the multiculturality of our world conferences. But it's actually also like really, it was really nice for us to see, because like we went, full disclosure again, the first day I arrived in Jakarta, my luggage didn't. So for me, you know, it was fine because I had some clothes in my backpack, like some casual t-shirts and jeans and so on. But like, we were actually, the next day we kind of figure out, you know, like, this is not the European conference. We cannot go in a t-shirt, in a JCI t-shirt at the conference. We need to have like business clothes. And like, luckily my luggage arrived the next day. So the first day at the conference in the morning, 9 a.m., my luggage arrived, we had like everything there, so it was fine. But like, for us, it was a bit like, okay, wait, this is different from our conference. And it really was, yeah. So for me, the ASPAC experience was, I was a judge in the public speaking competition. It was really interesting. And again, I don't know if I should say this, but I don't have any Europeans here, but I was also a judge in the European competition. And I really think that Asia and Pacific does public speaking much more better than us. So full disclosure again, there were really good participants in the competition. I was also a judge for creative young entrepreneurs, because like I said, I am a chair for creative young entrepreneurs here in Europe. Do you guys know what creative young entrepreneur is?
No.
Okay.
Can you
No
please-
idea. No idea.
Okay. So you guys need to ask me more questions. So
We are enjoying your presentation, so we don't want to disturb you.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm really glad. So the Creative Young Entrepreneurs Project is actually a global project that we do, and you can see at World Congress. And it's quite a pitching competition, but it's a pitching competition in which we evaluate creative ideas. And when I say creative ideas, they don't need to be necessarily innovations or breakthrough products, but they need to have something unique. So they need to have something, a creative solution to a realistic problem. And we do this kind of competition. We do it for each area. And we do it also globally. So you have at the area level. So for example, in Asia and Pacific Conference, we had this competition and there were 2 winners. Place one won $5,000 as a prize, and they won free registration for the worldwide competition where they can win $10,000. And then for the second place, they get a free registration for the world competition, but also they get free registration to the next area conference. So they have free participation to the next area conference. And it's actually opened also to JCI members. So if you have a business that you think it's a creative business, you can apply for it. But it was also really amusing for me when I did it in Europe. Of course, I was the chair in Europe, so I was hosting the entire event. I was organizing it. And one of the participants during the pitching, so you have this amazing, brilliant business ideas that they present, right? All sustainable, really innovative, some of them. And of course, they have a huge revenue behind, because if you have a good idea, right, you need money for it. And they had like millions of euros funding. And she went in front and she said, I don't need your money. I just need you to see my business. Because of course, one of the things that we bring is not necessarily the price, but the showcase of the participants, because we are an international network. So if you get up on the stage in a creative young entrepreneur competition, you will be seen in Europe by 37 countries. If you go on Asia, again, you'll be seen. But if you go on World Congress, you'll get to be seen by over 100 countries. So your business gets, spread worldwide, which that's actually, the main point of the thing. So yeah, this is kind of like some experience from the conferences. So yeah, also, of course, there are in each area conference, there are some main points, some events that I say to my national presidents that those you need to attend. So there is the opening ceremony, which of course, like it's a showcast of all the national leaders, but also to see all the countries that the area shows, but also we showcase the visiting countries. So if you have, for example, at Asia and Pacific, all the European presidents that were present went on the stage for you to see, and to see that, okay, they were actually attending your conference and they visited and they want actually to be closer to you, to your culture, but also as a collaboration. Yeah, and also what I wanted to show you is this picture in the middle, because in the area conference, actually, even as vice president, so even when you have a lot of duties, a lot of appointments and meetings, you also have a bit of time for fun. And actually, this is my buddy. So as national president, maybe 1 year before you're national president, you get to attend the Japan Academy. Unfortunately, 1 year before I was national president, there was still the pandemic. So my Japan Academy was online. But actually, this is Ai, and she is my Japan Academy buddy. So we met online, and now at the Asia and Pacific Conference, I met her for the first time face to face. After we met in the academy, we worked together, we collaborated a lot. She helped me a lot for the JCI Borderless with Ukraine project. So the friendship was really there, but we never really actually got to see each other until the Asia and Pacific Conference. So as you can see, like this kind of events are the perfect opportunities, because like it brings everyone together. It brings everyone in one place. It's the main purpose of the event is to be there and to meet a lot of people and to actually get them and build friendship. And then there is the European conference, but again, full disclosure, this year for me it was a very different experience than you have as a participant. Not only because I was vice president, but also because this year the European conference happened in my home country. So JCI Romania actually organized the European conference. So it was a totally different experience than you would have just as a participant. But of course, it was a legendary event. So Romania is full of legends, and the European conference became one because it was a really successful event. But this is just a few pictures from the gala, which is also a must go to point of the area conference. So the gala is also like to have fun, but also you have that moment in which you really like you get with your delegation together, and you kind of have this showcase of pictures. It was so fun. We did the gala in Romania. We did it in the Palace of Parliament, which is the second biggest building in the world, and first heaviest. And you would see like we had this marble rooms, and you would see JCI groups of countries everywhere taking pictures with their flag and so on. And like everyone was waiting in line, like you see the stairs over here. So this was the main attraction, because like you could put there a lot of people up and like everyone would be in the picture. So you would have a lot of delegations there. But then again, you would also have, like, as vice president, you get to have a lot of meetings again. And of course, because it was my country who organized the conference, I would have even more meetings than the rest of the team, because like we had a lot of things to discuss. But it's really fun also to be part of this side of a conference, in the sense that you get to collaborate with people and you actually get to work together. Okay, and now I have just one question for you before I end the presentation, and then we go into a Q&A, and you actually can ask me anything that you want. So I just want to know, how many international events did you go to? Did you go to an area conference? Did you go to World Congress? Or maybe did you go to more than 3 international events? And I just want to know. There is no options for no international events. Okay, so I see 2 people went to the area conference, 3 people, 4. Okay, there is 1 person that went to more than 3 international events. Nice. Okay, area conference. I'll give you 1 more minute. Okay. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 8 people who participated in international events, and we have 7 for area conferences, and 1 person who actually attended more than 3 international events. Who is the one? Let's see. Who attended more than 3 international events?
Who is that?
Hmm? Who is it? Somebody voted on it. No? Somebody shy.
Must be president.
Local president, was it you?
No,
Must be some.
It's not me.
Okay.
Must be some president.
Somebody?
It must be you, Alexandra.
I attended more than 3, yeah, that's true. But I didn't vote. Yeah, no, if just so you know, so when you are a candidate for international roles, you actually need to put down all the international events that you went to. So national presidents meeting, area conferences, world congresses, because that also like shows kind of your determination, but also like your devotement for JCI, how much you devote for the organization. Okay, and just one area of opportunities which actually is not covered by our headquarters is that I think in our organization we also have fun. We also find a lot of friends but you also feel seen in the sense that if you have a good team with you, they will they will appreciate your effort. If you have a good leader, he will appreciate your work and he will showcase you, he will give you the visibility, the recognition that you deserve. So I think this is the one area of opportunity that JCI really gives us. It may be not the area that we join JCI for, but I think it is the area why we stay in the organization. And usually when I ask people, why are you still in JCI or why did you stay in the organization? The main answer is always because of the people. And I think this is one of the areas of opportunity that should be showcased. And with this, I end my presentation and I just want to tell you that it's on you. So I had an amazing experience in JCI, but there was never a point in which somebody just gave me something or just told me, I don't know, like, this is yours and this will develop you and it will grow you, and it never happened like that. I had a mentor for the first time in JCI. I became a mentor first in JCI, just for you to know, and then I had a mentor afterwards. I had a mentor for the first time last year as national president. It was the first time that actually it wasn't given to me. So my mentor didn't came to me and said, I want you to be my mentee, or nobody came to me to ask me, do you want a mentor? I went out there and I got a mentor for myself because I knew I needed it during the year. So it's on you to get yourself where you want to be. It's on you to, if you want leadership skills, to go and get that leadership role. It's on you if you want to change your community, to go and do that project. And it's on you if you want to develop your business, to go and meet people, attend conferences, and actually talk about your business everywhere that you go. So it's always on you to make the first move, and actually JCI gives you back afterwards. It depends on how much you give in JCI, and that's how much you're going to take out of it. Okay, and now very, very short, I can answer all your questions because I know it's very late for you and I don't want to keep you. Yeah, go ahead, Kushal.
Actually, we can just introduce ourselves and ask the questions.
So I'll go first. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is me, Kushal Shrestha. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for your valuable time. It was, I think I can speak for everyone here. It was very great, hearing all your wonderful experience. It has been definitely a very eventful, years, your experiences in JCI. And especially you do this for business as well. So, it's even more special for us to, hear all of this for free. Very special thanks to our president as well for, sorting out all this, it's time for us to hear a wonderful experience. The question I have for you is, hearing all those, your experience of, attending all these conferences and these meetings, and, you even had to work when there's a war going even currently as well. And, you have been the national president. After that, you've become the vice president for the world, what's it called, JCI world. And I just want to ask you, how do you balance your JCI life and I can say personal, but especially your business, like a professional career?
Mm-hmm. Perfect. I can tell you that I learned that very, very early in my JCI journey, in the sense that my second JCI year, I was vice president for project in my local chapter. And I was responsible for all the projects, or even if like we had project managers, so people that coordinated the project, I was responsible that what we said at the beginning of the year that would happen will actually happen, because of the partnerships that we had, and of course because of our reputation and so on. And that was a very busy year for me, because like we had, I don't know, 10 project managers. So I had a team of 10 people who were doing projects. We had that year, I think we calculated that we had 200 events during the year. So it was a huge amount. It was a very busy year. And I do remember very, very honestly that I had days coming home and I will not take my cell phone out of the bag once I entered the house, and I would just leave it there. And I would have afternoons that were not JCI, not because JCI was not searching for me, but because I needed the break. So I think it's very important for you to know, okay, I am very passionate about JCI. So just to make it very clear, I'm at the office now giving this training to you. So, but it's very important to know where your limit is, and to be aware that if you're not okay, so if you're not rested, if you don't have energy, you cannot give the best to JCI as well. So it's very important to be aware of this. And of course, like time management is very important. I learned to prioritize, and I always say, and I teach this in my local chapter, I always tell them every year to the new members as well. JCI, one thing that it taught me, because when I joined JCI, I had this mindset that you need in life, you need to have 3 or up to 5 priorities, and you need to focus on those 5 things somehow. But they're in a row. So you have first, I don't know, business, second, school, whatever, but they're in a row. And if like one is on place number 1, it's going to be on place number 1. And what JCI taught me is that you have those priorities, but they're kind of like little balls that you juggle. And when one ball is in your hand, that's when you need to focus on it. And then you throw it up and you fetch another one. So in some weekends, family was very important to me. But in some weekends, I was 2 days only JCI, and my family had to accept that, okay, this weekend, she needs to go there. And that's how I did it. So I juggled a lot. And my local chapter president was laughing at me 2 days ago. We had a one-on-one meeting. And she said, are you still doing the juggling thing? And I said, yeah, even this year as vice president, I'm still juggling a lot, especially because you have different role. So of course, like prioritizing is very important as well, but also taking care of yourself and your energy, and being very aware where you need some rest, and to take that rest, and to be very honest to the people in your team when you need it, and to ask for help if you need help in your team, if somebody else needs to do it. And if, again, because I know at local level, it's not always easy to find somebody else to do your work, right? So if you cannot do it, it's hard to find someone to do it for you. So it needs to be very honest that if you're too tired or you don't have time, that it maybe won't be done.
Definitely very insightful. Thank you.
My pleasure. Hope it helps. Yeah, go ahead, Unisha.
Hello, I am Unisha Morrison. And so I just had a question, like, can you give me an example when you had a situation where you had to take a difficult decision that was unpopular with your team? Like, how do you manage?
Mm-hmm. So, to be very honest, I am a very inclusive leader, in the sense that I try not to fall in love with my ideas. And if I have an idea, then I take it to the team. And if they disagree with it, I reconsider, I hear them out. One decision that I took that was unpopular with my team, I mean, there were decisions that were unpopular, but then we discussed them. And I'm a very good debater, to be very honest. So I'm very good in convincing people to get my way in that sense. So I don't remember having any any moment in which between me and my team there was a clash or a divergence so big that but I think I really think that when there's an opinion that is not popular, you either have to explain it why it's better that way and to see their reaction, and then to give them the chance to explain to you why it's not okay, the idea, and to actually find a compromising way. It's very important why I say this, because when you try to impose yourself in a team, you create that kind of gap between you and your team. And it's very important to actually stick together and to find a way that suits everyone. Especially when you are a leader, you don't want that kind of gap between you and the other people in your team.
Thank you.
I hope it helps you. I know it was not the answer that you were expecting, maybe.
No, that was the exactly answer, I guess, because having a team spirit is really tough, and being a leader, you just have to take a decision on your own and then have to listen to other people. And I guess you are doing a great job.
No, yeah, it is. Sometimes you have to take fast decisions, but if you took a decision and then the team kind of condemns you for it, you need to make it very clear that some decisions need to be taken fast. And they elected you probably in the leadership position, so they chose you as a leader. So that means they need to trust you that you take the right decisions in a crisis situation or in a fast stepping decision-making process.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Anytime. Niraj, go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for a valuable time and our Mr. President. I'm Niraj Mahajan and I'm past president of JCI Kirtipur. Can you speak to JCI's commitment to corporate social responsibility and community engagement?
You mean if I can speak about it?
Yes, please.
So the thing is, internationally, we do try, when we do community impact, or CSR project, what it's very important to have and take care is to make sure that your project is sustainable. So, for example, when I took over the project, which was dealing with abandoned children, because it's a CSR project, right? It's a charity project. What they were doing, my local chapter, what they were doing was they were collecting school notebooks, pens, everything that is needed for the children to go to school, because of course, like, they didn't have that kind of supplies, and they used to collect those from the population and then give it to the children. So that's actually a charity activity, but we don't want to only give fish to the poor, right? We want to teach them how to actually fish by themselves. So when I got the project, I remade it in such a way that we're not focusing on collecting things and giving it to the children, but focusing on educating the children to get them by themselves. So what we did like financial training for them, how to make a budget, because so they were between 5 years and 18 years old. And at 19 years, they would go out of the system. They will have no financial support anymore. They will have no hosting, no family to go to, right? They would be out in the world all alone. So what I wanted to do is to educate them that when that point comes in their life, they know how to cook. They know how to actually manage their budget to get a rent. They know to do something to get a job, right? They are capable to work to get a job. So making the project from a charity project to a sustainable, to something that is actually addressing a problem, but without like giving them. It also, for me, when I saw the project, it created that kind of mentality in the children that I am, how to say, entitled to receive things for free because I am abandoned. And that's not the mindset that you want to create in a person. You want them to actually know that because once they're out there in the world, they need to work for it. Nothing comes for free in the world, right? So they need to work for it. So that's why, like, we don't want to create that kind of mentality that it comes for free. Of course, like, there are a lot of how to say, amazing project that I saw. There are fundraising projects for charity that JCI does, but it's very important that you do. And I can give you an example. From Romania, we have a local chapter right now. They have a charity project, in the sense they collect used clothes. So like, I could go take some, I don't know, clothes that I don't like anymore from my wardrobe, and I will donate it to JCI. And JCI will collect them. They have a very nice project in which painters, so artists, come and redo the clothes. So they paint something on it. I don't know, they do something with it. They reshape it or whatever, and then they sell the products. Okay, but with the money that they get actually from those products, yeah, they donate everything to a hub for Ukrainian children refugees. Okay, so basically they recircle the fashion industry, right? So it's quite ecological, but the money that they get out of it, they put it in education for refugees' children.
Thank you.
Anytime, my pleasure. Okay, any other questions? So
Hi, Alexandra.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, actually,
Anil, go ahead. First,
Hi.
Anil.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So thank you for your time and your experience sharing. So I had simple only one question that I would like to ask. What would you say? What would you say that one thing that made you drive throughout this journey and made people believe in you? What would be that one thing if you would have to say?
So I think it's very different from one person to another, to be very honest. One thing that for me was very important, even from the beginning. So full disclosure again, my family was not very supportive of me. So I had like really strict parents. They were very much criticizing everything that I was doing. Nothing was good enough for them. So it didn't matter. And I was like top of my class sometimes. I did get like at university, I got scholarships. But it never really like gave me any recognition for that. And as soon as I joined JCI, so first when I joined for this project that I told you about with the children. And I gave my all because I really wanted to help those children. I really wanted to have an impact, right? But what kept me going was the fact that I always received the recognition. So there were always my team there. And even now, that's why I moved from Romania, right? I'm living in Luxembourg. So I'm 2,000 kilometers away from my local chapter right now, 2,700. But my relationship with my members is so tight because I always got the recognitions. They always appreciated my work. And there was never the criticism. There was never the judgment. They always, if something went wrong, we were there for one another to help, to solve the problem, not to go deeper in the problem. And I think this kind of environment in which we appreciate each other, in which we are there because we want to be there, not because we are paid, not because somebody told us to, right? You are there because you want to, but you don't owe anyone anything. That kind of environment, it creates this kind of fellowship, like you wrote in the chat, right? It creates this relationship, and that's why I am there, and that's why I'm doing always my best, because I know that the people who I am doing it with will appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Anytime. But of course, again, it's different for every person. I think every one of us has a different internal drive for doing the things that we're doing. Oh, now we have a lot of questions. Okay, go ahead. Aman, first.
Thank you, Alexandra. So it's really good to hear your experience. So I just wanted to add into the questions my friends asked. So how do you share your passion for JCI moment? And how do you motivate others to be part of this movement?
So how do I raise my passion was your question.
How do you share your passion? How
Sure.
do you share your passion with others? How do you motivate others to be involved?
Okay, I'll tell you. So actually, I try to do it in numerous ways, like participating in this kind of presentations. I'm doing it like with you, but also in Africa. I'm also doing it with a chapter in Indonesia. So I'm trying to share my experience with a lot of people, just for you, but also like for people to see that I started from a little city in a little chapters. My chapter was the only year that we were 40 people. It was when I was local president, but the rest of the years they were only 25 people in our chapter. So it's a really small chapter in a little city in Romania, which is not a very known country. And I am vice president at global level. And I want people to see that you can start from anywhere. And if I could do it, then you could do it. That's very important. And what I do is even now, so since I was local president, I started mentoring other people. First from my local chapter, then when I became national, from my national organization, so from multiple local chapters. And now because I'm international, I'm mentoring people from all over Europe. So I do this kind of coaching with a lot of people. And how I motivate people, to be very honest with you, there is no day in which I don't speak about JCI, not with JCI members, but like at work. Today I had lunch with my boss, and all lunch I spoke only about JCI. Like he was like, how do you get all the energy to do that? So like it comes natural because it had such a huge impact, and it still does. It has a lot of impact. Like my first thing when we went to lunch, my boss said, how many presentations do you have for JCI this week? So when people know about it, it comes naturally for you to talk about it. And one thing that I try to nourish in members is for them actually to see why they are in JCI and what JCI gives them, not necessarily only personal development or social network or so, but as a person. Like I said, I get a lot of recognition, and that's what keeps me going. So the fact that my work is appreciated, the fact that I do good work and I know it has an impact, that's something that keeps me going, knowing that I am going to have some results or some impact, and that those results are going to be recognized and appreciated. But for other people, it's not that. But just for disclosure again, from my side, I don't believe in altruism, in the sense that I don't believe that someone will do a thing just for the sake of others. It's going to be, if you do it for the sake of others, it's going to also be kind of your feeling that I've done something good. So you're doing that thing because you want to feel like that. It's not only because you want to help others. So that's why, like, I try to identify with my mentees, okay, what keeps you going in JCI, but also to take really good care of them so they don't burn out. Because of course, like, we're not a lot of active members around, and we need to try to manage our energy and to make sure that we are resilient. So I hope I answered. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, President.
Yeah, so thanks for your lovely presentation. It was really motivating. So the main motivation of today's event was to motivate other new members as well, because there are lots of new members in this session. So I think your words really motivated them. And my question is, like, I've been to ASPEC as well, and you've been to ASPEC and European conference and every international conferences. So what differences do you find in Asian and European, this kind of, like, not only in events, but the culture, the thinking, the perception, and the business, and also the nature of the people? So it's like a different culture. So it's really different. I've been working with Europeans. I know how different it is. So can you explain that?
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, I think like main for us, the first, difference is the clothing. So the way that you dress for a conference for us is very different. You say conference, you say, okay, JCI t-shirt, but like for you, I mean, for me, like when I'm presenting or so, of course, I'm going to be business, but my room is going to be kind of business casual, so sneakers maybe and jeans and a shirt. But like in Asia and Pacific, you're very elegant. You have like sweet suits and ties, and everyone is very elegant. High heels everywhere, so it's really elegant. Another main thing is that, of course, in Europe we are very casual about greeting each other. So in Europe, we hug each other, we kiss each other. If you're French, you kiss twice. If you're German, you kiss 3 times. There are some differences, but it's very, very physical when we greet each other. In Romania, it's the same. We kiss each other twice, we hug each other. So we're very physical about greeting each other. When to be very honest, like coming from such a different culture into Asia, like I didn't really know if can I approach some people? Like I had the people that I knew or I met before, like I saw Joanna here. So I like those kind of people I can go and hug because they know how I am and I'm a hug bear. So I like to hug people. So those kind of people I could go and approach. But for the rest, I didn't know, should I shake hands? Should I just bow? Like it was very, very different for me as well to adapt to that kind of circumstance. So if you go to the European conference, you get a lot of hugs, just for so you know. But yeah, that's also one different thing. As a program point of view, the conferences are quite similar. As I said, like you have the opening ceremony, you had the gala, you have trainings, you have the general assemblies, which are the official meetings. So the program is quite structured in a similar way. It's just that, of course, like culture also puts a point, like on things like debating, competition, like the CYE competition, the Creative Young Entrepreneurs competition. So it puts its footprint on everything that is inside the program as a development. But yeah, it was pretty interesting for me to participate in Asia and Pacific. And also one thing that we were discussing 2 days ago, like from every World Congress, but also like in Asia and Pacific, I came back like with this kind of amount of business cards. I think like this, it's like my head, and you don't get that at the European conference. So usually people don't really exchange business cards at the European conference. We just have our LinkedIn code, like QR code, and you just scan and you connect, and that's it. Like if you need that person ever in your life, you find him on LinkedIn. But we don't really exchange business cards here. So yeah, there are some interesting differences, let's say, but they're really nice, and it's interesting to see, and to adapt to different circumstances. Yeah, and I think that's it. That what comes to my mind right now.
Yeah, thank you for your information. Actually, Johan from Malaysia is here, so I want to hear some words from her.
Huh? John, are you still here with us? I don't see her anymore. I think she left.
Yeah, maybe.
She heard her name and she got shy.
Any
Yeah,
other
but
questions? Yeah,
it
I'm
is
asking my team.
a really interesting experience in international event, and I do really recommend it. Yeah, go ahead, Yoshi.
Hi, Alexandra. Thank you for vividly explaining your experience in JCI and how it has impactfully helped you in your life. But I have this concern in my mind that there might have been some issues or some dissatisfactions about JCI with you. So if you have any, can you share with us any dissatisfactions?
Yeah, of course. There were a lot, you can imagine, in 8 years. And to be very honest with you, last year as national president, I had moments I was so frustrated. And at that point, I just thought like, okay, what can I learn from this experience? And what I learned is that you need to enjoy even the frustration in JCI. Like they're, like you just stay there in your frustration and you laugh about it, because it's just, if you think about it, it's not something that is actually really impacting your life. It's just you're frustrated because things don't go how you want them to. And of course, like there were a lot of things. Just for a full disclosure again, when I was national president, I started my year with a national board of 11 people. So I had 11 people in my team. 2 of them were a couple, which broke up during the year. So that was something very interesting to manage. Then one of my other vice presidents got pregnant during the year, and she didn't tell me just before 1 month before she had to give birth. So I found 1 month before she gave birth that I'm not going to have her for the rest of the year. And I had a lot of situation in which by the end of the year, I had maybe 5 people in my team. So it was very frustrating along the way to, I don't know, to have to manage extra challenges that I wasn't prepared for, or I wasn't foreseen at the beginning of the year. So frustration is a part of the journey. It's a part of the lesson. And of course, you're not going to like it. I always say when I was little, growing up, my bones would hurt when I was getting taller. Like I would have nights in which I couldn't sleep because my bones hurt because I was growing up. And it's the same in JCI. Like when you're frustrated, when you're, a bit, I don't know, annoyed or a bit angry with things, that means that you're uncomfortable. That's something, got in your comfort zone. And that means that you're growing as well. So it's normal to have those kind of feelings in JCI. It's not always going to be, butterflies and rainbows, but it's a journey that you need to take. And I think in JCI, even though it's not always butterflies and rainbows, and there are always going to be the people that will make you smile, that will care for you, and the results that you'll get. So I think the positive outgrows the annoying and frustrating part. But of course, like it's part of the journey. I had the moments. I had it in every role I had.
Thank you. I hope this helps with every of our teammates. Thank you.
Anytime. Any other questions? Are you going to come to World Congress?
We're planning.
Planning to?
Yeah.
Also, one thing I want to add, our president might have already surely said it to you. We are also organizing the International Business Meet in coming September. And I think all of us here would really like you to take part. I know it might be very, you might have a very busy schedule, but still, we'd just like to send you an invite.
Yeah, I think your local president told me about it. I'm not sure now that I remember the dates. It's true that I have quite a tight schedule, but if you remind me the dates and I don't have anything planned, I will do my best to be there. But indeed, so as well, the vice president, you get to visit all your countries twice. And of course, like I'm working for the European Parliament, so I have a limited number of holidays as well. My boss at our last meeting said, like, I think you used all your holidays already for the Asian Pacific and the European conference. I don't think you have any more. And I said, no, I know I do, because World Congress is coming. And he said, oh no. Like, but it's really nice that you invited me, so thank you so much. I would really like to be there, and I will do my best if I really can do it.
Yeah, actually, this year we have 25th anniversary, so it's one special event we are going to organize, like all the people from around the world, business professionals, come together in Nepal and then talk about business. There are events. So it's in September 1, 2, and 3. First day we'll show you the culture, the festivals, and then second day it's a conference, and third
Yeah,
day we'll talk about business. That kind of event.
unfortunately, the 1st to 3rd of September, I'm already full booked, and I already have my plane tickets because one of my countries, so one of my assigned countries, I have 6. Scotland has their national convention. So I just booked my plane tickets 3 days ago for them.
It's okay.
So sorry, but yeah, maybe next year for sure. If you have anything, I would love to visit Nepal. So if you have any events
Yeah,
for
next year we
year,
have area conference. We have this. We are called Area C in our country. So we have area conference. We are going to organize that in next year.
okay. So make sure you send me an invitation, and
Yeah,
I'll be
definitely.
here, and I'll do trainings for you whenever you want.
Yeah,
This
sure.
was more of a storytelling
Yeah.
session. It was not really a training, but like I can do like better trainings face to face.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah. It's like you have enlightened us, because I only like I have been to the international conferences, but there are lots of new members who are yet to know about JCI and what it can bring. So it's like you have enlightened us. So your words are really precious.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here. I just want to share with you, maybe, I don't know how many of you saw the World Congress video, promotional video. Did you see it?
I did.
No,
No?
But you can
we haven't
show.
seen it. Yeah, we
Okay,
haven't seen it.
then can I share it with you guys? Do you want to watch it with me?
Definitely.
Yes, sure, sure.
Ah, just a
Oh,
second.
please.
You can find landscapes with
Maybe from the beginning. Yeah, like this. Okay. You can see my screen, right?
behind snowy mountains. There is a small country called Switzerland. You can find landscapes with beautiful nature as far as you can see. A country famous for its friendly people and old traditions. It looks like in a fairy tale, right? In fact, Switzerland is a very innovative country. The Swiss made label stands for quality and is known worldwide. The Swiss Army knife, a classic zipper, or Swiss watches are just a few examples of world-famous Swiss innovations. And now the JCI World Congress is taking place in Zurich, one of the most creative cities in Switzerland. So let's meet and talk. Let's network with other young entrepreneurs who want to make a change. In exciting workshops and inspiring business sessions, you will meet young leaders with creative ideas to achieve things that seem impossible. We invite you, JC, to connect, discuss, and enjoy beautiful Switzerland. Let's challenge the present and create our future. See you in Zurich.
So this,
Use bullet points in a presentation.
and this is the commercial, YouTube commercial. So this was the World Congress. Did you hear it? Well, I can also put the link in the chat for you to see it by yourself, because now we had also a bit of connection problem. I see Yona is back from JCI Malaysia. So if you want to give her the floor, local president.
Yeah, sure, please. John.
Behind snowy mountains, there is a small country called Switzerland. You can find light.
And it goes by itself. Okay, I'm just going to put it in the chat. John, are you here with us?
She's silent.
Maybe not. She's gone again. Okay, no worries. Okay, if there are no other questions. Okay. I will thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you here this evening, and actually to have your attention, your full attention, and to have all the interesting questions. It was a really nice experience for me to see you and to get to know like new members in our JCI local organization, but also like to hear what you're curious about and to share my experience with you. So thank you so much also, President Binesh, for having me and for connecting with me at the area conference in Jakarta, and really hope to see a lot of you at the World Congress. I will be there for sure. So I really hope we get to meet face to face.
Thank you very much.
At last, can we take one group picture?
Yeah,
so
let's do
everybody should show their faces. Turn on the cameras.
Everybody, please turn on the camera.
Wait a moment. Pratik, he is not showing the. Pratik, Elina, Krish. So I'll take the picture.
Yeah, picture.
Done?
Once again. We are.
Sim, Ilna, turn on yours. Yeah, bro. Switch-san, turn on your camera.
So I take the picture.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So nice to be.
Have a nice
Our
evening.
members
all.
are motivated.
Thank you.
Tomorrow morning first thing.
Okay.
After a good rest.
Okay, thank you very much, and everybody, good night.
Have a good
Thank you.
evening. Bye,
Good night.
everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Alexandra.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Hasta la vista. Sayonara. Bye-bye.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.